You're watching the Community MMA.
What up, what up? This your boy Chris Cross checking in. This is the Community MMA. And I couldn't wait to get to this podcast today because I want to tell you about all the big finishes last night. Thought Jake Paul would finish Nate Diaz in the first or second round. I thought Corey Sandhagen would finish Rob Font in the second, third, maybe fourth round. None of those things happened. But still, all in all, a great night of fighting. The fans booed in Nashville. Dana White got up and walked out, leading to a lot of speculation. Was he upset with the fight? Did he leave early to go watch the Nate Diaz, Jake Paul fight? These are all the things that people are discussing today. And it's interesting because when the president of the UFC gets up and walks out, and maybe, to me, it's more because of the boos. And I understand also with the Nate Diaz, Jake Paul fight because, as soon as that fight finished, Sandhagen versus Font, within 5 minutes, 10 minutes, Jake Paul was walking out. So that could have led to Dana White's early exit because he wanted to see that fight. Who knows? It's all speculation. And then if he does the post-fight press conference, he misses that fight. If you get a finish between Sandhagen and Font in the second or third round, he's got time for the press conference. So a lot of speculation coming out from the UFC, and there's no doubt that boxing over the last 2 weeks, they can't keep this up, but certainly over the last 2 weeks has led to less viewers for the UFC, or at least people moving back and forth between UFC and boxing. Especially last week when you had Spence versus Crawford. We noticed the views for UFC fights last night were down for us as well. But you also had Jake Paul versus Nate Diaz, which helped crank up the views after the UFC fight, UFC Nashville, was over. So let's begin with Jake Paul versus Nate Diaz. I fully expected this to be a finish early on, and it nearly was in the first round. Nate Diaz was in all types of trouble, but he regathered himself. And what he did is he frustrated Jake Paul because he continued to move forward. Right? Jake Paul wants to keep the distance with the jab. He obviously struggled with a left-handed fighter in Nate Diaz, and this fight ended up going to a decision. But Jake Paul did flatten Nate Diaz one time in this fight in the fifth round. So here's that knockdown and the final reaction. And I'll tell you, one of the better boxing fights you'll see here. Not a lot. Oh, Diaz goes down on was it the right or the left? Ooh, Diaz is in a little bit of trouble now. Diaz went down. He gets back up, and I don't know if it was the left or the right. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Yeah, and Jake Paul's looking for the finish. Ooh, he lands a big body shot in the left. Oh, Nate Diaz takes an uppercut. Here comes Jake Paul with a left and a right. Diaz is in trouble. Diaz getting ready to go down, I think. And man, as soon as Diaz stopped walking forward, that's when he ran into trouble. He's got to go back to walking forward. 1 minute left in this round. Here we go. Here we go. Oh, boy. Split decision would be crazy, but doubtful. Here we go. Oh, boy. Unanimous. Unanimous. Oh, it's 98-92, 98-91. So it's going to be a dominant win for Jake Paul. Yeah, he did outbox Nate Diaz, but Nate Diaz did a great job. And you see Logan Paul, he doesn't look happy with the win for his brother. Then when the camera hit him, he started clapping. But I don't think that a decision victory was in their sights. I think a finish over Nate Diaz is what you want if you're Jake Paul. But the bottom line is Jake Paul gets the win. He's going to move to 7-1. And you think about that in 8 fights, the YouTube star, right? You're not thinking he's going to win 7 of 8 fights. Nobody thought he would beat Tyron Woodley. They thought he would get beat by Ben Askren. But at the end of the day, he's 7-1 in the UFC. Or in boxing, excuse me. So that's how it goes down. Jake Paul gets the win in a catchweight fight at 185 pounds in front of a huge crowd in Texas. Thanks for... Yeah, so that's how it turned out. Jake Paul getting a dominating win. And again, it wasn't what he expected, but at the end of the day, you got to give credit where credit's due. He's still 7-1 as a boxer, only losing a split decision to undefeated Tommy Fury. So I'm starting to get more on board with Jake Paul. I actually wanted to see him finish Nate Diaz last night, going against my normal state of mind. I watched the documentary on Netflix of Jake Paul becoming more and more of a believer. I mean, he's trying to do something that isn't easy, and that's go from a YouTube guy to a boxing sensation. And he's putting in the work, man. When you see behind the scenes, he's putting in the work. He's serious about it. And you got to give him a little respect. But it did damage him last night, being that he didn't get to finish. I mean, that hurt because he should have finished Nate Diaz. And credit Nate Diaz for going 10 rounds. I mean, this wasn't like a little 6-round fight. This was 10 rounds. And Nate Diaz went the whole way. And it's tough for these UFC guys because you're taking away their leg kicks. You're taking away control time, takedowns, all that type of stuff, where Nate Diaz would probably dominate this fight if it wasn't an MMA setting. And Jake Paul saying, hey, for 10 mil, I'm willing to get in to an MMA fight, PFL related, whatever it may be. And we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. But the bottom line is Jake Paul continues to win against UFC/MMA fighters. Last night, you also had UFC Nashville. Not the most exciting night, but there still were some finishes. Still some big fights. We don't have anything on Sandhagen versus Font because that was a long, boring fight on the ground. Masterful performance, though, by Corey Sandhagen, but not the type of situation that the fans want to see. They want to see finishes. They want to see striking. And instead, this led to like 16 minutes of control time for Sandhagen. So no highlights on that one. It was kind of a snoozer, if you will. But where there are highlights, we can begin with Jessica Andrade. You all know about Jessica Andrade. Big-time fighter, former strawweight champion, bouncing back and forth between strawweight and flyweight. Well, last night she ran into Tatiana Suarez, who came in at 10-0, perfect record, undefeated. And a win here could really open the door for her to start working her way towards a title fight. This is how it went down last night. Now Suarez flips position. She gets on top and has side control. So the hype is real, ladies and gentlemen. Tatiana Suarez looking good so far against Jessica Andrade, and now she pulls her down. Ooh, the crowd likes this. Potential submission. No, she just got one arm locked. She can't get the other arm in. Ooh, now she gets the leg wrapped around the back. This is going to put the pressure on Andrade, and she's not moving. She can't get out. This isn't good. Come on, tap it out. Tap it out. Let's go, Tatiana. Finish it. Yes! Yes! Let's go, baby. Tatiana Suarez submits Jessica Andrade, and she's coming. She is coming. You better put the whole division on notice, because Tatiana Suarez is for real at 11-0. Man, 23-14 insignificant strikes, 3 takedowns, 222 of control, and she gets the win here in dominating fashion over a legend here in the women's strawweight division, UFC Nashville. Yeah, so Tatiana Suarez showed up. She moves to 11-0, and that's big for her because now she's going to be ranked 4th, 5th, or 6th in the division. It's always more important when you get a finish over a top-ranked contender than it is for a decision, and Khamzat Chimaev knows this all too well. If he would have finished Gilbert Burns, he would have fought for the welterweight title a long time ago. So a finish really helps your stock, and it might. She's definitely number 5, maybe number 4, and we'll have to wait and see when the new rankings come out. So we got that one right, but one we didn't get right was Dustin Jacoby versus Kennedy Sechukwu. And Jacoby having no problems breaking through the reach of Kennedy so far. Kennedy's covering up a lot. He can't see the punches coming. It's got me worried because the power of Jacoby is for real. And I thought the jab and the distance would work, but it's not working right now for Kennedy. He's getting caught up in the pocket. Jacoby works left and right, throwing feints. He's got it going right now. Kennedy finally lands a left, though. 350 left, round 1. A couple leg kicks by Dustin Jacoby. And both guys kind of settling in now. And a big left by Kennedy, but a big right drops Kennedy. And Jacoby's on top, hammer fist, and it's over. Wow. Dustin Jacoby with the big KO finish as he looks happy. pumped up, running around the outside of the octagon. And Kennedy's trying to explain he could have kept going, but no, he was done. He was done for. Man. So big finish for Dustin Jacoby here. And man, he's pumped. And it was hard to see because here comes the left. Boom. Jacoby takes the left. And then Kennedy's arms drop. He takes a big right. And then goes down. And Jacoby's on top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hammer fist before the ref stops it. He had no choice. Yeah, so Dustin Jacoby looked good last night. I mean, impressive performance, getting the finish. Again, finishes are everything if you want to move up. And he's number 15 in the light heavyweight division and is looking stronger and stronger with every fight. I thought Kennedy would win with the reach advantage and keep him at bay, but it didn't go down that way. Another great fight was Lopez versus Tucker. Gavin Tucker, that is, who I thought would win the fight, but it didn't go his way. And a leg kick miss now by Gavin Tucker. Comes in with a big right hand, but it was blocked by Lopez. And these guys are wasting no time early, man. Going right at it, as we've seen throughout the night. We just haven't seen finishes. But no shortage of action. Another leg kick missed by Lopez. He's having trouble. Ooh, he lands a takedown, though. Having trouble finding his range, but now he's having trouble getting out of the triangle. And potential armbar here, too. Look out. Tucker's trying to pick him up. He can't get him up. Oh, and he's getting stuck deeper. Here comes a triangle even deeper now. Ooh. I don't know if Lopez has it locked, but Tucker cannot get out. And that arm is extended. Crowd's going crazy. They want to see a finish. Ooh, he's pulling it. And Tucker can't get his other arm free to even tap. He may have tapped right there. And the fight continues. Oh, I think he tapped. And he did. And it's over. The ref didn't see it because he was partially blocked. But Diego Lopez gets the win. He jumps over the octagon. Big high five with Dana White. Michael Bisping. Yes, sir. And some of the UFC matchmakers. And he's pumped up. He is pumped up. And they needed that. They needed that tonight. A big finish now. The crowd's riled up. 3 fights to go. Yeah, so at that point, the crowd's riled up. He had a couple finishes back to back. And, of course, it led to the Sandhagen debacle and the fans booing at the end of the night. But he had a great finish there by Lopez. And he jumped the octagon, was giving high fives to Dana White and company, Michael Bisping, etc. So that created a little excitement at least to give the crowd something to cheer for. You also had Jeremiah Wells versus Carlston Harris, and this came to a dramatic finish. Wells shoots in for another takedown here. Man. And that's played Carlston Harris throughout this fight. 3 takedowns already, looking for the 4th. Over 7 minutes of control time. Oh, now it's Carlston who gets underneath. Wow, but Jeremiah Wells has the elbow out, so kind of an awkward submission attempt, but Carlston Harris isn't letting go. I mean, he has it locked in. We'll see if Wells can hang on. Boy, I don't know. They better check him. They better check him here. That left hand's dropping. He's out. It's over. Yes. Wow. Carlston Harris gets the win, jumps on top of the cage. And the crowd at Nashville loves it. And Jeremiah Wells was finished. Would have won the fight. Dominated the first 2 rounds. Carlston Harris needed the finish, and he got it. And that's how you do it. It's a great thing about the UFC is you could be losing and still find a way to win, much like Leon Edwards did against Kamaru Usman with the leg kick the first time around. He was going to lose a decision, and in the final minute, roughly, got the big KO finish. And that's what you got to do. The fight is never over until the clock hits 0. Just like any other sport, you have a chance, especially in the UFC. Not like NFL or basketball where you could be down by 30 and come back in 2 minutes. But in the UFC, you could be down by 30 or 3 rounds to 1 or 2 rounds to none and get a big finish at the end and steal the show, and that's what he did. Also, the first fight of the night, you had newcomer Asu Almabayev, who I thought would lose because Diaz won as a veteran. But he put on a dominating performance over a UFC veteran in O'Day Osborne last night. And he's taking the back again of Osborne. This time over 2 minutes left. Oh, he locks it in. But Osborne's got the chin down. So I think he's going to fight this off again. But man, this is tough. Osborne's in a little bit of trouble here. Oh, that's it. Whoa. What a finish by Almabayev. I did not see that coming. I should have. I mean, guys coming in with a lot of accolades and things like that. Hasn't lost in a while. But I thought Osborne as a veteran would get the job done. And he just got dominated from the beginning of round one all the way until the end of the fight with 2 minutes left in round two. And these are the tough fights to predict. When you have a veteran in O'Day Osborne, and this happens every week, taking on a newcomer, and you look and you see, okay, the newcomer has the losses outside the UFC. But the tricky part is those losses came back several years ago. So now he's coming in with a lot of momentum. But you figure the UFC veteran would win. But it doesn't work out that way. It's 50-50, which is why those predictions are very tough. And it really stinks to start the night 0-1. But by the end of the night, it ended up being a good night of predictions for us. So as you see there, we had a great night. Finishing 8-4. Got the main event right with Corey Sandhagen getting the win. Tatiana Suarez won. Tanner Boser won. 3-3 in the main card. But suddenly now, in the prelims, we've turned the corner from earlier in the year, going 5-1 in the prelims, and that sets it up for the main card. Because now, I mean, we could be 50-50 in the main card with a start like that, and we still finish 8-4 in the night. I mean, you had Kyler Phillips winning, Carlson Harris with the finish to get the victory, or he would have lost. Billy Q won. Cody Durden and Sean Woodson with the reach and the straight leg kicks dominated in his fight. So we're 20-7 in the main event. We'll take that every year. Overall, 206 and 118. And we're wanting to get to the point where we have 100 more wins than losses, and they continue to push it up from there, as we're certainly well past the halfway mark on the season, with about 5 full months to go in UFC action. So we'll take that. Crisscross Picks with another great night, and you can check out all the picks by going to hashtag Crisscross Picks. So that's the way it went down last night. And 8-4 again, we'll take that every week. If we lose the main event, we're 7-5, and then it's like an average night, right? 12 fights, we want to win 8 to signify a dominating night in terms of the picks, or what we like to call a great night. So we'll take it every week if we're 8-4. 13 fights, 8-5 still isn't bad. 9-4 is even better. So it just depends on how many fights there are. Standard is 12, but it creeps up all the way up to 15 fights on any given week. Now, as we jump into the Q&A, you had Angela Reel saying, I've had enough of the Chimaev fight already. And I think we all have. I mean, it just hasn't been nearly enough. I mean, not even nearly, just no action from Hamza. And I think he's having a tough time getting opponents. Alex Rudiger's back. He says Chimaev is going to dismantle him. North Macedonia with Hamza. And yeah, I'm with you on that. I think Hamza is going to dominate Paulo Costa in this fight. And we're going to get, as I said previously, we're going to get the best Paulo Costa you can imagine. It's not going to be the same Paulo Costa against Adesanya. He's not going to be making dumb mistakes. He's going to be chiseled. He's going to be looking right. And the beef is real with Hamza. But I don't think any of that's going to matter. But I do want the best Paulo Costa we can get. Please believe it. Dogstar says, speaking of Ignacio Bahamondes, it ain't fair. It actually amounts to cheating. Every time in between rounds, Ignatius was nearly put to sleep listening to corner advice from Bilal Muhammad, a.k.a. don't remember the name, a.k.a. remember the name. So he's not happy with the advice from Bilal in the corner, says it put him to sleep. At Backshift Family says Bahamondes messed up a lot of parlays. A lot of parlays. And I agree because, we had Ignacio winning, but Ludovic Klein is that good. I mean, it's a lightweight fight too, so they're always very difficult. to predict, because in the lightweight division, the best in the UFC, more depth than any other division, anything can happen. As we saw last week with Justin Gaethje and Dustin Poirier, I thought Dustin would win the fight, but he didn't. They're very hard to predict in the lightweight division. I mean, it just seems that that's the trend each and every week. Yeah, predicting lightweight fights, even if it's supposed to go your way, could very easily go the other way. Make no mistake about it. But that'll do it, man. We got a big week ahead. UFC Vegas is back. You got Dana White's Contender Series back on tap, 7 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday. Then you follow that up with The Ultimate Fighter. It's keeping your boy Chris Cross busy. Make sure you check out all those predictions for the Contender Series, because I tell you, last year was a wild year. And I expect Season 7 to be just as good. But for now, that'll do it. This is your boy Chris Cross. This is the Community MMA. As always, have a great day and God bless. Peace.